How are you, Dr. Drew? Thanks for having me, brother.
I was just saying the last time we saw each other was when, for the Jersey Shore production, you and the boys and the girls took over an entire resort. Nobody
Yes.
there. It was the craziest thing. But it was a
Yeah.
pleasure to see you guys, nevertheless.
Yeah, it's good to see you. And yeah, that was quite a production. We took over a whole hotel, and we had to follow COVID protocols. And but still, the show had to go on, and we had to make TV. And I thought we did a good job of it. It was a very, very good show.
No, it was good. You were riding mini bikes down the halls, and you had crazy inflatable or latex dolls, and I was like, look, like what? What? But okay. How's everybody getting along now, by the way?
I mean, listen, life is not perfect. I mean, currently, I'm sure you guys have seen the news, but but for the most part, everyone's doing good. The Jersey Shore Family Vacation is on Thursdays, which is on tonight, 8/7 Central, only on MTV.
And if you don't mind, Mike, I'm sure you've done this a million times, but just for my audience, kind of sketch over your story and your recovery, and then we'll talk about how Archangels is one of your prouder moments now.
Well, I mean, listen, I have quite an in-depth story, hence why I wrote the book, which is a reality check: how I overcame addiction, loss, and prison. I'm currently now 11 years clean and sober. But once upon a time, I couldn't even get a day. The first season of Jersey Shore, I had just gotten out of rehab, and I didn't want to tell the producers because I didn't think that they would cast me. Needless to say, the show went on, and I played the game of what's called substitution at the time. So my first stint in rehab right before Jersey Shore at the Seaside Heights happened, I went to rehab for pills at the time. So when the Jersey Shore first started happening, I was like, you know what? I didn't have much knowledge about addiction. So I just played the game of what's called substitution, where I said, I'm not going to do pills anymore. I'm just going to drink. And then obviously, you guys saw Jersey Shore seasons 1, and things definitely intensified in Jersey Shore season 2 when we got our big raises. And that's when the addiction really, really took over. It got so bad to the point that I was probably doing, in the early Jersey Shore seasons, probably in season 2, I started doing about 4 to 6 Roxys 3 times a day. Maybe by the Italy season, it got to 10 Roxys 3 times a day. And I'm lucky to be alive, Dr. Drew. I mean, because I could have easily overdosed right when the cameras were shooting me. So that was definitely quite the situation.
I can't. It's so gratefully you weren't doing all that when the fentanyl was creeping into the supply, because that's how the overdose would have been, like, no problem. That, and then if you add the benzodiazepines, you add the Valium drugs, the Ativan stuff, that's the other way people overdose.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that was definitely in the equation. I fell in love with Percocet, but it was definitely, like I said, the Percocets throughout the day, which were the 30 milligram oxycodones. And then at night, I would go to sleep with some Valiums. So that was definitely a recipe for disaster.
That gets dangerous. And was a doctor giving you these things, or were you getting them off the street?
Early on, it was definitely off the street. But then once, the years went on, once the seasons went on, I also got them from doctors too. And they,
so shocking.
No one would say no to me.
Always shocking. I know, it's always so shocking. That drives me insane. And at that time, my peers were killing people like all over the place, like, and without any seemingly concern for it. But I love the addiction thinking, the addict thinking, which is, I'm just going to drink and smoke weed. I'm going to do that now. Everything's going to be fine. Just weed, just alcohol.
I played that game a couple times. I played it in season 1 when I said I'm only going to drink. And I really did only drink. But once season 2 came along, and the money and the excess and the fame and Jersey Shore was pretty much the biggest show in the country at the time. That's when the addiction sort of intensified, and then it turned into sort of a Wolf of Wall Street situation where in my book bag I had a pharmacy of everything from benzos to weed, sometimes cocaine, and I was playing my own chemist.
And I remember when you slammed your head into that wall. It was such a scary thing to see. Was that the bottom, right around there?
That was the beginning of the end. Yeah. I was going through Withdrawal live on TV, on one of the biggest TV shows in the country. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my God, how is this happening? You know what I mean? Like I went into Italy with 250 Roxys in my left shoe and 250 Roxys in my right shoe. Right. And with my calculations, right, I was only supposed to have like 6 a day. Right. Of course, addict mentality, I probably had 8 or 9 per day. And then once
it's fantastic.
And then after about 30 days, I ran out and I started to go through withdrawal. And in Italy, they didn't have, those type of prescription painkillers. And I started to go through withdrawal, and America saw it.
It's interesting to me. A lot of people hear the war stories like, oh my God. To me, it's just, I think addicts are so funny, the way they think and the way they plan and stuff. And of course, it always goes haywire. You can laugh at it in retrospect. It's so dangerous when it's happening. But when you've got a wonderful recovery under your belt, it's funny.
Yes. I listen, if you guys get a chance to read my book, those crazy times, it's almost like an action movie, right? And it's like the test in the testimony. And that's what makes my story so good, because it's a very unlikely comeback story. And we all know America loves a good comeback story. And that's where we led to Archangel Centers, where I'm at now.
The one, I have a couple of quick questions before we go to Archangels, which is that to my eye, all the boys pretty much at the beginning of the show, at least, seem to be dabbling with steroids. And that was the thing. I don't know if you were or not, but the young men that do steroids who are trying to get sober don't stay sober. It's not even the drinking. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, listen, when you're in early recovery, you can't do any substances at all. I mean, for me, I promote abstinence, and that was the best for me. Because those substances will be mind and mood altering, which will cause you to make decisions that you normally wouldn't make, which may even lead you to your drug of choice. So I do agree with that.
We typically will lead you there. I mean,
yes.
The other thing that worries me is that young male addicts that keep doing steroids die. It's just so common. It's just, they just die. And of many, many, many different causes, but mostly going back to their drug of choice. But so I was worried for you guys, you particularly for that. So, but you're here, your recovery's been great. Tell me about Archangel.
Yes, I'm now 11 years clean and sober. I have founded the Archangel Centers, which is essentially a treatment center. Our first treatment center was in Tinton Falls, New Jersey. And that we've launched about 6 months ago. And we've been doing such great things for the community, the families, and everyone in the state of New Jersey. And we have done so well that now we're expanding to North Carolina, July 24th. And then after July 24th, our next center will be in Princeton, New Jersey. Then we have another one in Florida and another one in Vegas. So essentially right now we have 5 signed and funded locations. So, we got our hands full right now.
Yeah, that is hard work. It is hard. And I'm certain that you'd be, with your commitment to recovery, would want it to be recovery based and high quality. It depends so much on the treatment team that you guys put together. Who's helping you with that?
We partnered with the Ascend Behavioral Health Network, and they've been owned and operated centers for many, many years. Ian has, like 17 years of sobriety this year, and Sam has, I believe, she might be going on 18 or 19. So they have owned and operated many centers for many years, and I was linked up with them over the last year or two, because for the past maybe 7 to 10 years, when I'm not on TV, I've worked for treatment centers and for a couple of years, and I was the face of this treatment center. I was the face of that treatment center, and then eventually I was linked up with these owner and operators, and now we have Archangel Centers.
Somebody's asking in the chats here, do you treat Kratom addiction? And yeah, Kratom addiction is happening all the time these days. It's just straight up opiate addiction.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of Kratom right now as well. We're seeing a lot of fentanyl, a lot of opiates. I'm seeing, and it's probably one of the most dangerous ones, I'm seeing a lot of alcohol. And it's very sad that, most people don't know that you can die from alcohol. And we've actually lost a few already, which was pretty sad.
People forget about alcohol. Alcohol is the only drug from which the withdrawal can be frequently fatal. Just the withdrawal. The withdrawal from opiates is horrible, but it's not fatal. The drug itself, the alcohol, is literally a carcinogen to all human tissue, plus the liver disease, plus, I mean, it's just one thing after another. And we all just sort of nod at alcohol, no big deal, but once it gets you, man, it is rough.
It's so sad. I mean, I'm seeing so many people that, their addiction is alcohol, and, they have cirrhosis of the liver, that, there's organ failure. I'll be honest with you, Dr. Drew, I lost somebody last week. I got the phone call that we were trying to save his life. And then for me, saving someone's life is altering the trajectory of their life from active addiction into recovery. And during that process, because he was a drinker, he eventually died because of that, because of, some unrealized, health concerns that he never.
I'm just going to drink. I'm just going to drink. I'm sure he told himself that too. So let's talk about recovery, because I'm a huge advocate for recovery, and I've seen it under attack for the last 20 years or so. Where have you seen that, and how do you help promote the process of recovery?
Well, I promote the process of recovery by example. I think I'm very loud and vocal about my comeback story. I wrote a book called Reality Check: How I Overcame Addiction, Loss, and Prison. And if you see any of my pages, I stand for family and God, and now I have my centers, which are Archangel Centers. So I believe I'm a big advocate for the recovery community. And I have a major platform that I've been on TV for 17 years. And I believe that my story is very loved and very respected. And I believe I have a chance at changing the stigma of addiction. I have a chance at, helping families and doing a lot of good in our country. So I'm in the midst of it right now.
Yeah, I am so mortified the way people think and talk about recovery, because they expect it to be a magic cure. They expect it to be a car wash when you go through treatment. This is a daily process that takes years. It's hard work. And that's what makes it tough, right? You got to get people engaged in this process we call recovery. And a lot of them won't do it, can't do it, for various reasons. But there's so much more. And I'm going to ask you to, I'm going to hand off to you on this point. So much more to recovery than taking some pill to reduce your cravings or something. There's a whole spiritual, interpersonal, emotional, intrapersonal journey that you have to go on, right?
Yeah, it's a lot of hard work, and I've been dealing with it myself for the last 11 years. For a very long time, I was wondering why I was, getting all these bad consequences. The government was coming after me. They wanted to send me to prison. I'm like, oh my God, what is happening here? I need to change my life. And then I realized that I had an addictive personality, and I was always going to have that, and nothing was going to change it. And I read a quote that I just really loved, and it was a very profound proverb. And the proverb read, there's a good wolf and there's a bad wolf inside of us. Good wolf is, love and light and hope. And the bad wolf is darkness and despair. Which wolf are you going to feed? And then it just all made sense for me, because as a young man, it was just a lack of knowledge of self. And I fed the bad wolf, the excess, the parties, the women, the drugs. And I wondered why I got all these negative consequences. Once I was able to retain and apply that amazing things started to happen. The miracle started to work for me. I obviously had to put the work in one day at a time. I necessarily did and took every suggestion that was given to me because my life was going 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction. And when I say I took the suggestions, that means the suggestions were to do the 60 days of residential. And then after the 60 days residential, to do the aftercare. And then I did 6 months of aftercare. And then after the aftercare, I did 3 months of one-on-ones. I did the 90 days, the 90 meetings in 90 days. I did the sponsor, the recovery network. I did all of that because it was suggested. But also the reason why I mentioned the length of care is because studies show, and it correlates that the longer length of treatment that you do, the more success that you have in recovery. So if you did the calculations from what I just said, I almost did about a year treatment. And that is the reason why I have 11 years clean and sober. And still to this day, I run a clean program. I run an honest program, which means I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't steal, I don't drink, I don't drug, I don't smoke, I don't speed. I don't do any of that stuff because I don't want to feed the bad wolf. And also I move through life a lot quicker than most people, because if I'm not making any new mistakes, I can fix any old ones, which I already have. Recovery is a lot of hard work, but it is worth it. And if Mike, the situation can do it, then anyone can, right? And that's what I preach.
There you go, man. And treatment works, and to take a year is not an uncommon duration of engagement necessary to get ongoing sobriety. Lastly, Mike, who's eligible for treatment at the Archangel Centers?
Anyone that needs help. You know, if all you have to do is
it cash? Is it insurance? Is it Medi-Cal? Are there resources available for people?
It's really anybody that needs help. They can reach out to me. I will either place you in my center. I will place you in another center. I will get resources for you. I have a scholarship that I give out monthly that's dedicated to my wife's late brother. So every single morning I look at my DMs and they're full of everyone that needs help. And my team, we reach out to them and we help as many as we can.
So that is on X. It's the situation. And then go read the book, Reality Check, Making the Best of the Situation. Mike, you're always an inspiration, my friend. It's good to see you and to continue the good work.
Thank you, brother. Good to see you. Thanks for having me.